March 11th. Take approval of the agenda, please. Councillor Noxana.
That the March 11th, 2025 Budget Council meeting agenda be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Councillor Dussault. All in favor? Carried. New business draft 2025 to 2029 financial plan, operating, not including capital for council final review. Report dated March 11th, 2025 from the Chief Financial Officer regarding the draft 2025 to 2029 financial plan, operating, not including capital or council final, for council's final review. Recommendation, please, Councilor Norbury.
That council approve the draft 2025 to 2029 operating budget plan as presented.
Seconder, Councillor Noxana. Discussion. Okay, I have a couple of questions. Ms. Scott, within the realm, and it's on multiple pages, so I'm just going to ask it at once, but it's mainly in regards to fleet, and some of it is it constitutes the contracted services, and there's different amounts for different pieces of fleet equipment. Is there what is that contracted services?
I will ask the Director of Finance to provide additional information.
Hang on a second, sorry. Comment.
Mayor, Council, thank you. I'll be passing that on as the specific information on the budget is the Director of Operations.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Yes, you will see contracted services throughout fleet. That would be if we required any sort of outside sourcing for equipment.
Okay. Ms. Scott, my follow-up question on that would be, 2024, we had one mechanic. Once council approves budget, one of the budget adds is a second mechanic. Does this offset this cost in regards to all these functions?
So again, I will ask the, I'll direct this one directly to the Director of Operations to provide council with that answer.
Thank you, Ms. Scott. Mayor and Council, yes, that is what I'm trying to provide for the district is cost savings.
Thank you. One other thing I noted, and I did get confirmation on it, within the fleet, it is still marked that we have Tacomas, 2008 Tacoma and such. But just so council's aware, it did not flow over onto this sheet. It is on the other sheets as Ford Rangers. It just didn't flow through on here. Just so if people see it or people question that we no longer have Tacomas, so why are they within your budget? I did ask that question, and that's what it was. It just didn't carry over into this system here from the other system. So just so council's aware. Okay, any other questions? Ms. Scott, I know I asked a question in regards to the fire department in regards to volunteer appreciation amount of $17,500. Were you able to find an answer for that?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions, discussion? Okay, can I call the question? All in favor? Carried. Final review of draft 2025 to 2028. I'm assuming that should be 2029. Okay, just want to make sure. To 2029 capital plan and special projects. Report dated March 11, 2025 from the Chief Financial Officer regarding the final review of draft 2025 to 2029 capital and special projects. Recommendation, please. Councilor Noxana.
The council approve the draft 2025 to 2029 draft capital and special projects and that they be included in the 2025 to 2029 financial plan.
Seconder. Councilor Dussault. Any discussion? Councilor Jilek.
Sorry, on page 73, it talks about, at the last sentence, it says, to offset these costs without impacting 2025 taxation, however, it does include debt repayment in future years, which will impact taxation. I'm just wondering what the debt repayment would be.
Ms. Scott.
I will ask the Director of Finance to provide that information.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. There is proposed debt that would be taken on with the Protective Services project, and that debt would then be paid back over 30 years, and that's at an estimated rate of 4.5%, which was what it was at the time.
Follow up? Okay, any other questions, comments? Councillor Noxana?
Thank you. In the community services portion, it says Willow Hall Building Doors it's funded through grants. I just want to ensure that that will be funded through taxation if we do not have successful grant applications.
Ms. Scott?
We can confirm that we were successful in that grant application.
Thank you.
Cool, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions, comments from council? I have just a couple comments. It is great to see that we have the downtown sidewalk replacement within the budget. The amounts are there and such, and it looks like that will start as weather turns to spring/summer within Tumbler Ridge. So I appreciate staff making sure that the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed to move this forward. It's taken us a bit of time to get there, but I appreciate Ms. Scott. You came on board. It was kind of left to this, I won't say to the side, but it was left in a little bit of an array of the direction that we should be, or we should have went, that we didn't go, and that T's had to be crossed and the I's had to be dotted, which it sounds like we're fairly much completed on that project to see this start within 2025. So I just want to thank you, staff, for that. I think it's really important to make that as a note. It's something that the residents of Tumbler Ridge have asked for multiple years. I know staff has worked on this for multiple years to try and get it done. And to see that coming to an end where we'll see cement leave, the old cement leave and new cement poured, I think it's very, very important to make sure that's noted. And I know in the previous budget meetings, we did some pre-approvals in regards to especially the asphalt. We have a huge asphalt undertaking by staff. To me, with doing the pre-approval, I would hope to maybe just see where we're at that before we move forward, because it was a pre-approved budget item. So I'm assuming we've started to work on that, and I understand that, like, from this side anyways, that's a big ask for the amount of asphalt that's been listed here. To me, the amount of workload that's there, but would staff be able to give us an overview of where we're at since it was pre-approved budget?
Yeah, I can give a brief summary and then ask the Director of Operations to include any information that I have, may have forgotten to mention. The RFP for the engineering portion of the asphalt project is currently out, and we have to have a minimum of 3 weeks. And I believe that the deadline for receipt of those RFPs is March 19th. And shortly after, we can hopefully award that tender and then immediately move forward with tenders for the asphalt. But again, in case I have missed anything, I will ask the Director of Operations if he has any additional information that he would like to add.
Thank you, Ms. Scott, Mayor and Council. As Ms. Scott said, the 19th is when the RFP closes at 2 p.m. We will go through the RFPs and the candidates, and then, as she said, moving on from that date, we'll be presenting it to council, and we can get started on the tendering for the roadways.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I think it's important for council to be updated on that just because of the pre-approval process. And, you know, I know it was talked about from around the council side that it was a big undertaking, but it sounds like staff is full speed ahead on it, and totally appreciate that. The other thing I want to make comment to, and I mean, obviously thanks to council, and then obviously staff by leading it, that's the culture and safety awareness training that the municipality has taken on. You know, there's still more things to happen within that, and that's why it stays within our budget. But to see how far we've gotten on the culture awareness, safety training with the elected officials, but also with staff being involved in it. Again, just want to thank staff for doing that and keeping it on there and proceeding with some of the next functions that'll come forward to council. Okay, anything else from council? Okay, gonna call the question. All in favor? Carried. 3.3, the carry forward of prior year capital and special projects. Report dated March 11th, 2025, from the Chief Financial Officer regarding the carry forward of prior year capital and special projects. Recommendation, please.
Thank you, Mayor Kukalka. That council approve the listing of forward of prior year capital and special projects for inclusion in the 2025-2029 financial plan.
Seconder. Councillor Hoffman. Discussion. Councillor Julik.
Yeah, I'm just looking on page 80 and on the Public Works fleet, so it's the second one from the bottom on that chart. It says waiting on contractor 2025. I just was looking for some clarification on that.
Ms. Scott.
I believe in conversation with the Director of Operations that has to do with generators, but I will ask the Director of Operations to provide you with that additional information.
Thank you, Ms. Scott, Mayor and Council. Yes, as you guys are aware, that we did add an emergency generator over at the water treatment facility. In doing so, we have one to install at Public Works. It was working out logistics, getting parts and equipment here, and finding the best place to route the new generator. Very difficult task over there, as obviously these properties weren't designed for an emergency generator. And trying to do it with minimizing disruption at Public Works. We have had the contractor out a couple of times now to try to figure out the best route. We have come to a conclusion as to where we're going to put these, and in 2025 we will be able to take care of it.
Thank you. Anything else from council? Ms. Scott, can we get an overview of the Southgate parking lot deficiencies that will be addressed in the spring of 2025?
So again, I will ask the Director of Operations to provide that information.
Thank you, Ms. Scott, Mayor and Council. Yes, there was some areas that were going to require some work, I guess, some warranty work around some of the drains, to see where the drainage is, and a couple of the seams. They wanted to polish them up and make sure that everything was perfect.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Okay, anything else from council? Okay, gonna call the question. All in favor? Carried. Contract management software, report dated March 11th, 2025, from the Director of Corporate Services regarding the contract management software. Recommendation, please. Councillor Julik.
That council approves $15,000 to be added to the administration budget to be used towards hiring and implementing a contract management software, and that this amount be included in the 2025-2029 financial plan.
Seconder, Councillor Noxana. Discussion. Ms. Scott, just want to make it clear that this is not a one-time buy-in. It's at $10,000. It looked like as it carries forward year after year. So it's not a one-time software purchase and install. It's a fee yearly to keep this active.
That's correct. The first year would be $15,000, which includes the implementation plus the software, and then there would be an annual ongoing fee of approximately $10,000.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Again, hats off to staff. I think this is something that staff has realized that maybe we're missing certain things or unable to follow up on certain things and make sure we catch it in a timely fashion. That this may be the way going forward to make sure that we follow the policies and such, that we catch the things that are coming up, but we catch them later on. So, again, thanks to staff to realize there's something out there that can assist that, and instead of hiring 2 or 3 more staff to try to do it manually. It doesn't say in the report that it would take 2 staff or 3 staff, but I'm just assuming right now corporate has 2 individuals within their department. When they say that it's a very time constraint on what they're trying to do today, to me it only seems to get worse as the years go on. So again, thanks to staff to bring it forward. Okay, can I call the question? All in favor? Carried. Golf course cart storage fence, report dated March 11th, 2025, from the Director of Community Services and Facilities regarding the golf course cart storage fence. Pardon me, recommendation. Councillor Noxana. Sorry.
The council directs staff to proceed with option 2.
Okay, seconder, Counselor Norberry. Discussion? Counselor Norberry and then Counselor Julick.
Thank you, Mayor Kakalka. I support the motion on the floor. I appreciate the different levels of options. It's hard to justify this new build, which is going to take 16 years to cover the cost. And I'm not an expert on asset management, but it seems to me like it's not going to last too much longer than 20, 25 years. Maybe 30, maybe, who knows, maybe this is half the life, but either way, it seems like we should be going with a cost-effective approach of what's listed. It's much more affordable, in my opinion. Thanks.
Thanks. Counselor Julick and then Counselor Dussault.
I'm not in favor. I look at the shed that we built back in 2013. Maybe I'll change that. I think we need to do some fee changes if we're going to go ahead, because I look at the shed that was built in 2013 at a cost of $125,000, which breaks out to $10,416 a year over the last 12 years, and we've made $68.48, assuming that everybody paid the more expensive charge, which is a $3,500 deficit. So we're not close to paying for the one that we have, and so I would not be in favor in this unless we looked at some fee changes.
I got Counselor Dussault and then myself.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of questions on this one. Would the electrical still be included? And the second one would be, if we go this option, how do we protect the electrical? Is there going to be a roof put over that?
Yeah, it's no roof, it's just a fence, but Ms. Scott?
At the time that this report was prepared, we had not yet obtained electrical quotes. We have since obtained a quote that estimates the cost to be about $4,500, with the assumption that they would be protected to similar to the electrical outlets at the outdoor camping spots or something like that.
Okay, follow up, you're good. Okay. Okay, I got myself and then Counselor Hoffman. Appreciate comments and such. I actually don't support option 2. I believe when we have a building that's right beside it that did cost the taxpayers quite a bit of money to install it. To me, when we talk and listen to some of the stuff within the report, I'm more in favor with option 1 without the dividers, and that's because I'm in favor of the cement. That way it can be angled away so the water drains properly. I understand that there's gravel there and it'll drain through the gravel until it starts pooling and then could end up going back into that building. To me, when I look at the cost and the length, the time commitment when it comes to cement lasts a long time. And to me, when we're doing it, we're able to, one, obviously make sure the water sheds away from the building. There's no mud and stuff being tracked into the gravel, which would obviously, I'm not sure how you're gonna clean it besides spraying it down. Gravel will also leave that compound and could be added back onto the road or other surfaces that people walk on. So that's why I'm not in favor of gravel. I'm in favor of the cement because we can make sure water is shedded away from our building. And to me, the upkeep is definitely a less cost from staff side. When we talk about, Councilor Judah talks about what we haven't recouped cost. I think when the building was first built, there was never talk about a recoup of cost. Here's a charge, and I believe that we may missed a step last year when the fees and charges came forward. The golf course never did. Whether that was the golf course storage building, the trail fees and such had never come forward, and I think that has to come forward and be discussed. Right now, there's a certain fee that they pay for the indoor storage, which is a yearly fee and not a seasonal fee. This one here would be a seasonal fee because there is no roof. It's a chain link fence to secure people's carts. To me, again, I'm more in favor of the cement because of the maintenance to the compound, the look of the compound, and again, making sure we protect the building that's already there, that we can make sure we keep water shedding away from that building. Councillor Knox-Center, then Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you. I would argue we don't need cement. It's not a paved parking lot, it's gravel, and we haven't had any issue with water pooling and damaging buildings that are existing there. I think if this is something that's utilized fully and we see a want, we can always come back and do asphalt after the fact. But if we spend $85,000, it's spent. If we don't recoup our costs, the money's already gone. It doesn't matter. It's better to start a little bit smaller and then see if it's utilized before we move forward. Whether we add power or not, that can also be a charge that we look at after seeing how this is taken. Yeah.
I got Councillor Hoffman and Councillor Julik.
Thank you, Mayor. It's nice when we all have different opinions, makes it very fun. Looking at this, I think just our timelines for recovering costs is just too long. I don't think that something like this is worth a 12-year recovery time. I was looking at 8 years max, 6 years or less preferable. And that really depends on what is this worth to those that were interested. And without an answer to that, it's really hard to decide on what a reasonable fee is and what a reasonable investment for us is. I don't object to the idea of cement, but is that worth it for the 16 people that will be initially using this? Well, hopefully 16 people that would be looking to use this service. So without an answer on what it's really worth and what it's really going to cost, I'm not prepared to say yes, no to really anything at this time. I appreciate the start. I appreciate the breakdown that we can do with fence, with fence, obviously, cement or gravel or stalls, dividers, that we know what we're choosing. But I'd like to hear from those that would be utilizing this, and that would be, I would say, even putting a deposit down for that they would have a spot ready to go before we break ground on this. But until that, I find it very hard to choose. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Julik.
Yeah, and I guess for me, why I don't want to support anything at this point is because once we relook at the fees, will there still be people interested in renting? Like, so if we tell people, well, no, it's going to be this much more for a season to be in the covered spot, and it's going to be this much more, and it's in this type of spot, whether it's cement or it's gravel, like Councillor Hoffman said, like, we don't know what that looks like. And in 12 years, we haven't recouped the cost for the other building, and it looks like $96 a person. It'd take 12 years to just get rid of the 18.5, and now we realize the 18.5 is actually 23. So for me at this point, I would say we would need to put it out to the membership and to have a better of a decision or discussion around our golf course costs and revenues.
Thank you. I got myself and then Councillor Oksana. I'm going to make a couple comments. This actually came from the golfers. That's who contacted me. That's why I brought it forward. Right now, they are tying their golf carts or chaining their golf carts to trees throughout the area. Behind the golf course storage shed that we have there today and further down, they're just chaining their carts to a tree. That's what they're doing today, or last year. So a few of them had asked, that's why I brought it forward. Now, when we talk about, I mean, I'll be honest, to me, I think if we're looking at full recoup on a golf cart storage facility, are we looking at like that across the municipality? Or are we only looking at that on one thing? And I ask that just because it's been mentioned by a few councillors, that we're looking at recouping costs. If we go back further in the budget that was talked about earlier today, there's a lot of recouping that would have to happen to pay for the service that are offered within the municipality, is my thoughts. So there's to me, there's services we give to our residents and to residents as a whole, whether that's our community center, our cleaning of our sidewalks and such. So like that's all I'm looking for. Do I think we need to look at fees and charges by law in regards to the golf course? 100%. I think it was missed last year when we went through that process. I did ask for it to come back forward. It just didn't come forward in time. So I know it's been on the staff's table that it will be coming back. When we talk about pooling water, I mention that because when you start adding gravel to a foundation, it's going to lift up something or whatever, and that could change the water foundation. That's why I'm more in favor of the cement. When we talk, well, we can do power later, that means we are going to only state that we are renting the outdoor storage facility for people with gas, because there's other people that have electric that need to be able to plug in. So that is something that needs to be thought about, that there is people that can't get inside the inside storage facility as it holds 16 carts. I mean, I'm not sure if staff would have the number, and maybe it should have been a question that was asked during agenda reviews. How many are on a waiting list? Because I know previous years there was quite a few on a waiting list. Would staff have that possible number?
Yes, the Director of Community Services can give you that number. I'll ask him to let council know how many people are currently sitting on that waiting list.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Your Worship, yeah, we have currently 15 people on the waiting list. I mean, I don't know which one is gas and electrical, but we have 15 people.
Okay, thank you. Thanks to staff for that. So I was well aware of a list. Now, that list number may fluctuate a little bit. Maybe people are only looking for fully covered storage, or maybe not. People just don't want to have to load and unload their carts and take them back home. So to me, when this was brought forward by some residents of the community, I never thought of that idea. All we have ever talked about is building a second storage facility. So the only thing to me, and I'm fine if we have to wait for cement, I just think that I want to make sure we protect the infrastructure that previous councils have built. And when we start adding gravel to level out an area, we could cause the pooling of water, the water movement to go a different way. When we have councillors saying that there's no pooling of water down at the golf course, there's already pooling of water down at the golf course. It may not be pooled enough to go inside that building at this time, but again, if we add gravel, it may cause that. But I would think if we go with gravel, that staff would make sure that they compact it enough that they can put a lean to it. But the other thing I will mention is power. It was talked about when we first discussed this, when I first asked about it, and we put it back to staff for a report, was about power, and I'm well aware that from staff side, they were still waiting for a quote. It has come in after the agendas have been printed, but it is for that opportunity for people that have power cards to be able to charge them up. Councillor Noxana, then Councillor Norbury.
Thank you. I think even adding power is a reasonable expense right now. Hearing that the wait list is 15 carts with everyone knowing that the storage shed is full. I'm not saying it's a easy sell to the community, but the golfers have asked for this. We're 2.5 years into this position, and we've heard it every single year. Can we get more space for carts? If we wanted to have this paid off in 8 years, that's absolutely charges that we can talk about when we bring our fees and charges bylaw back to go out to make this investment worth it for our residents. But I think these are great options for us to expand something that an entire community has been asking for, like the golfing community has been asking for years.
Thank you. Councillor Norbury and then Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor Kakalka. Sorry, I've been trying to hurriedly check on my phone what the cost of the current rental fee for the shed carts are.
Yeah, I can go to staff. I know it was 400 and something for electric.
Thank you.
Cheaper
Yeah, I see there.
cheaper for thing.
Listen, well, I see it. Gotcha. Do we know what other comparables are for uncovered gravel versus paved parking for these carts? Because
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious what people are willing to pay.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if staff's reached out and done that. Have we looked at other communities that may have a similar thing that we're looking at adding on? Whether it's just a fence and a compound, would they averagely charge for golf cart storage?
I will ask the Director of Community Services if he has had a chance to reach out to neighbors in regards to if they offer something similar and what they might charge for it.
Thanks, Ms. Scott. Mayor and Council, staff did their best to get everything ready, right? I know that was a council request. We did a cost analysis, right, benefit analysis. We did, one place we check is Logan Lake, and it's $170 per season. So it's like gravel, like it's just a fence like we're planning here.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Follow up?
If you don't mind. I don't have any more questions, just some more comments there. Yeah, I'm kind of looking at what people are willing to pay. I think people are definitely willing to pay, 96 to Logan Lake's 170. So probably willing to pay within that. We could potentially bring the cost down. But unless we are offering a similar service like the covered shed, I think it'd be hard for us to charge, upwards of $300, for this. I'm still leaning towards option 2. Mayor, I think you make some good points. But I also see that the issues of the pooling it can be solved by just a grading of the gravel, which is my thoughts. Yeah, I think when you look at, if we're adding a service, I think people need to see the value, and unless it's exactly the same, they're not going to pay the $400, $300, $400. So that's why I'm in favor of option 2. Thanks.
Thanks. Councillor Hoffman and Councillor Julik.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to address a point you brought up, that why 6 or 8 years for this? And I do think it's different. I think when you're talking about 16 spots on a golf course that can only be used by 16 residents, or if you're sharing spaces, that it is different than when you're plowing sidewalks and choosing things like that for the town. And in the end, I'm more than happy. 16 residents, every resident is important, but if we do this and we get it paid off, then you do the next thing and the next thing. Every time these things get dragged out, that just ties up that money for that much longer. So when we have requests for specific groups, I do look at how quickly can we cover this, or are we just saying that, okay, it's for the town? So to me, it is a bit different, that when we're talking about limiting access to something, that I do want to see that paid off quickly, with the idea that we can keep doing that sort of thing for any other residents. And I don't have a thought in my head right now for what would be the next one that would be limited to 16, whether that's another set of storage for the next group of golfers in 5 or 6 years. But it actually is important to me. So I appreciate the 170 number. I appreciate Councillor Norbury doing the calculations quickly. And I think we can do this for them at a reasonable rate and a reasonable return, so that we can do the next thing when the request comes by. So just wanted to answer your question there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Julik.
Yeah, and I think I echo what Councillor Hoffman said. We're looking at 32 people. When you talk about other things that we're not recouping costs on, I don't think we're talking about 32 people. We're talking about a lot more people. 32. And when we talk about this and we're saying, well, we need it because golfers are chaining their golf carts to trees, it's not our problem. I think that they're not following a rule, or they're taking the chances themselves about doing that. And so I think that is, I'm saying it's not our problem is not an appropriate way to respond to that. My concern is that people are doing that, and then they're using that as a reason to come and say, we need this extra storage. And so for me, when we discuss things about, well, what's the payoff and what's the cost and all of that stuff, we're generally talking about more than 32 people. And it's not that we have folks that don't have another place to store them. They do. It's the ease and convenience of why they want to have it down there, which I totally understand. It's not that. For me, as we continue to talk about budget and we continue to talk about making sure that we are addressing the concerns of the people in our community, we need to do that. And I don't think this is us doing our due diligence. When we look at something that's 12 years old, that we have not brought back, like that we've not been able to even get close on, like that we're taking a $3,500 deficit yearly, and that doesn't even include the power. Like that is just the cost of the building. And so for me, it's the part about, let's slow this down. I understand folks want it this year. I think if we're gonna do our due diligence, we need to look at those fees and charges and to be smart about it. I know I did do some looking up, and Dawson Creek charges $400 for cart rental, and you have to have a membership in order to be able to take that spot in the cart, in the storage shed. And I'm not sure, I was not able to confirm if it is covered or if it's not covered. So I would imagine for $400 it's covered, but they don't have it broke down as to whether or not it's electric or gas. So, and I think Dawson Creek is a good comparable. So it's not that I'm saying never do it. I'm just saying if we're gonna do it, I think that we need to be responsible when we do it.
Thanks. I got myself and then Councillor Norbury. Make a couple comments. I think something maybe we're not really having or bringing into the conversation, and I think that's the gem of the region that we're not talking about. The gem of the region is our golf course, by far. So one thing I know is ladies golf has doubled their numbers in 2024. They had one of the best seasons for ladies golf league. I've heard about it. I've seen it. When I talk about golf court storage and tying the trees. It's not just our locals that are doing this. It's actually individuals that are coming up from Chetwynd and other part of the regions. So we're seeing on men's night, I didn't attend any men's night, but hearing from that group, they have multiple people coming out of Chetwynd and that area, because there's no other golf courses down there. West Moberly had shut their golf course down last year. We've seen a very huge intake at our golf course, and to me, that is a gem. That is something that we push in regards to tourism as well. It's not just our hiking and our camping and the rivers and such. The golf course is definitely one of those attractions to our community for people coming to visit. It was one of the things that we added when we have the hockey camp here. We make sure that's included within the hockey camp is the use of the golf course at a discount rate, or they give something there. So I think it's really important. I will be supporting the motion on the floor. I mean, I honestly, I was more in favor of option one without the things, because the cement to me made sense in regards to making sure for easy maintenance and such like that. But to me, when we have residents reaching out saying this is something that, would really, be a benefit to the community, I think it is a benefit to the community as a whole, not just golfers. Not just golfers, sure, it's for golf carts, but there's still gonna be income that comes in there and offsets it. Once it's paid for, that obviously goes right back into just the general reserves or the general account. So, I mean, I do believe that we have to bring the fees and charges bylaw back to have a discussion, but it was asked to be brought back last year, not to Ms. Scott, previous CAO. So this is an opportunity to talk about not only the new one, if it is added by council, but also to talk about the existing one that is covered, that there's to me, a small amount of fee there for a yearly rental. It's not done by the season. So I think there is some discussion to have in regards to that, but I think this is an asset of ours with the golf course, and to me, we need to obviously, add to it as well. And when we have people asking for things, I think we look into it. I think staff did an amazing job on this report, gave a bunch of different options, gave their insight and their opinion, came in with a concept that they reached out to a community that's somewhat similar, gravel with a chain link. They're charging $170. That doesn't mean that we're the same. Maybe we're a little bit more. I don't know. It's something we can look at. But that's, to me, I'm in favor of what the motion is on the floor. I got Councillor Norbury and then Noxana.
Thank you, Mayor Kakalka. I think the points about the financial costs is pretty good. I appreciate your comments about not everything's cost recovery. Right, I think it's, especially as a municipality, that's, our pool is never cost recovery. Our community center is not cost recovery. Completely fine with that. Happy with that. It's a service. And regarding this, I'm starting to look at the other lenses that we can look at this issue. Participation in our golf course is great. I've also heard people from Chetwynd are coming, like driving from Chetwynd to visit our golf course. Maybe it'd be a little easier. They don't have to haul a trailer anymore. They can put their cart in our new storage area. But, one of the things that was highlighted when you said people are chaining their carts to trees, that's a clear indication we should do something. There's a need. And I think we should be following that every time it happens. That's just good foresight, right? People are creating there's a problem that there's not a solution for. And then the other side to that is it kind of bugs me when I see people riding their golf carts around town when they're going to the golf course. I would much prefer that they would park it down there, because you're not supposed to be driving a golf cart down the road. But people do. I get it. Small town. But I would hope that we would see a little bit less of that if they can have an affordable storage at the golf course. So, thanks.
Thanks. Councillor Noxana.
Thank you. I just wanted to bring up the 32 spaces and the 32 individuals. We don't know it's individuals. This could be couples, this could be families sharing a golf cart. This could be people from out of town sharing a golf cart here, which attracts them to come back here because their asset is here. The reach of this isn't 32 individuals. I think it's a bigger reach overall.
Thank you. Councillor Jilek.
And fair enough if it's more people. I think this is my frustration sometimes when we come to council. There's this information and it doesn't, I shouldn't say it's frustration. It's frustration because then I'm like, well, if I'd have had that knowledge, maybe I would have thought something different. I've never heard that people are coming from Chetwynd and don't have any place to park their golf course carts, for an example for that. And what I'm hearing is 16 spots isn't going to take care of the problem. Like, that's not enough. So if the justification for doing this is that we're helping more than 32 people, as Councillor Noxana has said. And if it's because we have people coming from out of town, then let's solve the problem, but we're not gonna solve it with 16 spots. And so for me tonight, it's not so much that, like I've said before, it's not that I'm not saying let's not do it. I'm saying if we're going to do it, be responsible about it. I don't think putting something in that is going to cost the taxpayers money in one way or the other, and it's a certain group, and I get that, because I'm a certain group of people too. But I expect to pay, as Councillor Noxana, I don't golf. I do other things that use our services, and I get that, and I expect to pay for it. And so it's about trying to figure that out, but being, again, coming back and looking at the numbers. Where are we with the golf course? Do we make money on the golf course? How much money can we afford to put out there? Like, it's like anything else. If we couldn't, when we talk about the other things that we use within our community, if we couldn't make it work, and the importance of keeping the water and the lights on was there over top of the pool, let's say, we would shut the pool down. And so for me, these, again, are the things that are, they're bonuses, and absolutely, I'm okay with doing the bonus if we have all the information, and I don't think we have all the information here, because we have 15 people on a waiting list. Are they only people from town that are on the waiting list? Have we gotten anybody to say we have a commitment? Absolutely, I'll rent that. If you guys raise the fees another $100. Like, there's so many questions. I think that we are taking a step too soon. I think we get an answer to the other questions, and then we come back and revisit it.
Thank you. So when you say that this won't solve a problem, well, if there's 15 people on a waiting list, it solves it. Solves some of it. So you said it doesn't solve a problem. There's 15 people on a waiting list. 15 people are saying they're waiting for somewhere to put their cart besides their garage or their backyard or underneath their deck or leaving it on a trailer. There's 15 people stating that. But that's how I look at that. There's 15 people that are saying, hey, listen, we've been on this waiting list. I guess from staff side, do we know how long this list has been going and how many years we've had 15 people on it? It's not just from last year. Ms. Scott?
I don't have that information. I will ask the Director of Community Services if he can provide council with that information.
Thanks, Ms. Scott. As far as I know, this list has been going on for a long time. I don't have the year exactly, but it has been long since we built that building, because people say, hey, I need more spots to park, and they don't have, right? So.
Okay, thank you for that. So I'll be honest, I won't say I'm a golfer. I do go down and whack the ball around a 9-hole golf course. So I don't have to be a golfer to use the golf course. I'll make that's very clear if you come out with me. So I hear it. I do talk to people. I mean, and then sometimes it's not at the golf course. It's at the grocery store. It's on the street. That's where I was confronted in regards to, is there anything that you guys can do about more golf cart storage? I said, yeah, we've talked about a new building, the cost of that new building. They're like, well, have you thought about this, a chain link fence? I mean, they mentioned cement or gravel. They just want somewhere where it's more secure than wrapping a chain around a tree. So to me, I think I believe it from myself, is that I'm listening to those people that are saying, this would be helping. And when I see and hear from staff, we have 15 people on a list. Yeah, I don't know if they all want to store their carts outside, but they're storing their carts outside, probably most of them right now in their backyards. So again, I think this is a start. Is it something that we'll need to look at, that we need to do something different in a few more years? Possibly. I mean, as our golf course gets used more and more every year, it is well talked about in the whole region, our golf course. Our golf course is talked about at the UBCM about how beautiful our golf course is. I apologize to council that if you're not kept up on the loop, it's just about getting out and talking to people. I listened to the mayor from Chatwin. He uses our golf course probably 5 times a week. So he comes up with a group of people. I know we've seen people from Farmington. We've seen people from Fort St. John. And the only reason I know that is because they stop in the store, and I know them through other friends. So they were here to golf. They didn't come to do anything else but golf. So it's being well used in the region. And I think sometimes, we can ask if staff's aware of if the golf course, how much money the golf course made last year and all that. But sometimes you have to actually put some stuff back into the golf course to keep people coming back. So again, I will be supporting this motion on the floor. Councillor Norbury and then Councillor Julik.
Thank you, Mayor Kakak. I don't think it's fair to, use whataboutism to talk about lights above the pool and whether we should be supporting this capital project because we have to worry about lights. That's not even close to comparison. Those are 2 separate issues. And, you know, by talking about it, you're insinuating that if we're putting one against the other. Pointing one against the other is putting them in the same ballpark, not even close. Not even fair. You know, to use that, I believe moving on to the next point. I'm not a golfer. I have realized that me and golf have gone our separate ways. I've tried, I've gotten lessons. Fair enough, but I can still appreciate the importance of a golf course for some people. And hearing yourself, hearing other members in the community, it's very important for them. Absolutely support it. You don't need to be a golfer to recognize the importance of a holistic community. Yeah, that's my comments. Thanks.
Thanks. Going to take a 5-minute recess. I got Councillor Judick and then Councillor Dussault.
I'd like to apologize for my behavior. Sometimes the emotions happen and you just got to deal. My comments about people coming in from out of town, I know our golf course is a gem for the community. I know that it's a gem for the region. What I meant was I didn't realize people from out of town were looking for cart storage. And so as we debate this, it feels like we're debating the actual use of it. My point being, if we're going to do something, rather than do 15, because that's who we have on the list, why not do it bigger? Why not look at who is out there that wants to do it? Like, to me, we've looked into the costs and stuff, but we've not looked into the other side of, if we're just gonna satisfy 15 people, then maybe we get another list like that. But maybe it is an option with the golfing, with the camping and stuff. I just feel like the idea can be massaged more. And I never meant to make it as though keeping the lights on. My point being was that when we talk about just one project, I think that we're missing out on all the projects and talking about all the things within the community. There's people who love golfing, and I absolutely agree, again, about the gem of the thing and the ladies' night and the men's night. To me, that's not the part about, that's not what I'm arguing about. I'm arguing about making sure that we're doing cost recovery, or that we're willing to take a loss. Like when it was approved to do the 200 or the 125,000, was there talk about recovery? Was it just as a, we haven't gone out and talked to the community about this. I know that people can come and sit in the gallery and talk to us about the budget, but after we've already passed things. And so for me, this is something that's extra. I get it. I'm a snowmobiler, I'm a quad user, I like the trails. So it's not that I'm against having this. I'm just saying, I think we're moving too fast, and I'm not gonna support it for that reason.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Dussault.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not an avid golfer myself either. I'm kind of still on the fence. I know we were talking about some things. I just wonder if we could have some feedback on can that be brought into the open?
What do you mean, sorry?
The cost amount, what we need to use, how much we need to have before we're using one before the other?
If council was to approve this, council will give direction to staff to use operational surplus or that, and staff will be able to help us out through the next process,
Okay.
once it's approved. There's certain numbers, I mean, one number is it has to be over $50,000 to come from reserves.
Okay. Okay, well, having said that, I would be for the option 2 as well. Even though, like I said, I'm not an avid golfer, but having heard that there are a lot of people that do come from out of town, there are a lot of people we could help, and there again, should we do more than 16? Is that all we should allow? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna just make a couple comments. Do I know for sure people from out of town are gonna rent a golf cart storage area? I don't. There's 15 people waiting on a waiting list, which we know the number tonight from staff. To me, that's possible 15 people that would be looking for a spot. Now, there's obviously other people that have not been put on a waiting list, because if you go down there and you're number 16, what's the opportunity that you're gonna be able to get a spot, when right now, we have 16 spots available. I know some people have been on the list since the building was built in 2012. They started a list, I think it was 2017 or 18 that we started a list or gave direction to make sure we had a list for the storage, when there was talk about it. So the list might have started just before that, I'm not sure exact date. So some people have been on the list for a very long time. There was talk that if spots came open, then obviously they worked through the list, but the spots haven't come open because, obviously people don't want to take them home. When we talk about building bigger, I can ask staff, I would think when they went down and looked at the space that's available, that's how they came up with the measurement, and that's why it would fit the amount of spaces that they've put in the report. But Ms. Scott, so I don't want to, just say that, but I'm assuming staff have measured it, because it is going towards the cliffs along the riverbank there, but I'm assuming that's what staff had done.
I will ask the Director of Community Services to provide council with information about how they came up with this particular size.
Thanks, Ms. Scott. Mayor and council, that is correct. So we measure to see how many carts we could store there, right? So because if you go further, that will be closer to the cliff, so it will become dangerous for people to park there. So we measure to be safe and for patrons to park, to store the carts there.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Okay, any more Discussion. Okay, the recommendation that's on the floor is that council direct staff to proceed with option number 2. I am going to call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Councillor Julick's opposed. Motion is carried. I know staff will need to know where we want to see this added into the budget. Councillor Noxana. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. I just wanted to motion, now that we have that quote for electrical, if we're putting in a fence, I wonder if it would be prudent that we motion to spend the 4,500. I'll make a motion that we spend the 4,500 to put in power while we're already building down there.
Seconder, Councillor Hoffman. Discussion. Councillor Hoffman.
I was thinking the exact same thing. If we're going to do this, then let's have the space for the electrical as well. Totally in agreement. Stole my motion. It's all good.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I guess my question was, I do appreciate staff, and obviously this quote came after the agendas were printed. Can the power be added at any time? And the reason I'm going to ask staff that question, and whether you can answer it or not, the reason I ask that, with the debate from the previous option 2 discussion, what happens if we only have gas that they decide to store outside, and we've just spent $4,500? So yes, I get if we have one electric cart, I imagine we're putting $4,500 worth of power in because we don't know how many other ones we'll have. But just wanted, can it be added at any time? And is it a fairly quick turnaround? Ms. Scott?
I will ask the Director of Community Services to provide that information.
Thanks, Ms. Scott. Your worship, yeah, we work with the electrical contractor, so that's where we got a quote. That's the company that we work for the district, right? So it all depends their availability, but it's, as far as I know, they will bring everything, right, and install as we want, so.
Okay, thank you. And the only reason I make those comments is, again, I do golf, but I'm not an avid golfer. I need to make that very, very clear. So I don't have all the understanding, but I know that as the municipality has started to replace carts, we've gotten away from electric and gone to gas. One, battery costs and such. And what concerns me is putting this out and spending the $4,500 and we don't get any electrical carts, we get all gas. To me, whether we just amend the motion stating as once staff proceed and have it built, that if we take on any electric carts that we immediately supply a plug. I'm not sure if council would be more in favor of that. It just concerns me of spending that $4,500 and we get no electrical carts. Councillor Noxan and Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you. I think hiring a contractor every time we get an electric cart is going to cost a lot more. I'm happy to hold off on electric until we see how the first year or two goes. But my thought is we're building this storage facility for the next 20 years, not for the 15 people on the list. It would be great if we got those individuals waiting for these spots in a locked compound like they would like. But this compound isn't being specifically built and tailored to 15 people.
Good comment. Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not sure what if the 4,500 was for every lot, because the other thing, it's up against the building. If we just have half electric up against the building and then the other side gas, I don't know what the ratio is, but then you at least have 8 spots for electric, 16 spots, up to 16 spots for gas, and now you're not dragging it across the lot, you're just going through the building wall. And yes, they still have to come out, yes, it's time, but I imagine it would be significantly less than to put freestanding outlets on the other side. That's another compromise I'd be willing to look at, but in the end, I do think if we're doing this, and electric carts aren't going away. It might be better for our purposes to have gas, but I don't think electric golf carts are going away. And if we expand more, if we do this, if we do that, all these other options come in and we can add 8 outlets on the other side on a future electrical contract. Thank you.
Yeah, no, and I think it's good comments, and I know it's maybe not within the report, but I believe the conversation that staff was having, that they did talk about putting power along the side of the building part, just to be able to hook in. But yeah, I you know, and I agree with you guys' comments. At first, I was kind of thinking, geez, do we spend it first? But I think what you guys are saying totally makes sense. I think you sold my debate. Councilor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor Kialka. You know, at first I was in favor of the power, then you made comments, I'm like, oh, well, we're gonna put them in there. But I go back to some of the thoughts that I had in our previous discussion, and, you know, bird in the hand's worth two in the bush, right? Like, one of the motivators of this project for me is, I dislike it when government pushes things off. All levels of government, business, whatever, they just push it off, push it off, push it off. And we shouldn't let perfection get in the way of great or good or sufficient. And I think by adding the power in, yeah, it could be perfect. We could do half. At what cost? 2/3. It's not going to be half. Bird in the hand's worth two in the bush for me. Let's go ahead and put the power in. If we're in, we're in. Thanks.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Any other discussion? Okay, can I call the question? And the motion is about the $4,500 for installing the power. Can I call the question? All in favor? Motion carries. Okay, now we need to maybe just get a little bit of direction from staff and where we can budget this amount, as it does not meet the one threshold, but my understanding was there is some other options to council for the budget process. Ms. Scott?
Yeah, I'll ask the Director of Finance to give council some options for how to fund this project.
Thank you, council. There's actually two options. One, because this is under the threshold that you can utilize capital reserves. So there's operating surplus, and as mentioned earlier, there is operating surplus funds available, as well as there is still $90,000 available through the PRA funding that has not yet been allocated because there was a change in the number at the last minute. So there's still that, even after the decision made today about the contract management software. So those are the two options that council has.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Councilor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor Kialka. Hearing those two options, thank you, staff, for getting that to us quickly. I was thinking we might need a recess, but, you know, quick thinking. I'll motion that we utilize PRA funding for this capital project.
Seconder, Councilor Noxana, discussion. Ms. Scott, I would imagine, just like anything we put in our budget, if there's an opportunity to apply for a grant for this, that staff will reach out to make sure we apply if there's grants available, which there possibly could be.
Yes, staff will look into or inquire into possible grant funding.
Okay. Again, I always talk about that. There's lots of new grants popping up through the governments, both governments, federal and provincial right now. And to me, if we can do something like this and it's grant funded, I think it just gives us another option. Okay, any other discussion? Call the question, all in favor? Motion carries. Question answer period. Ms. Scott, any email questions? No, thanks.
No.
Thank you. Taking a motion for adjournment, please. Councilor Norbury.
At the March 11th, 2025 Budget Council meeting be adjourned.
Seconder, Councilor Hoffman. All in favor? Carried. Council can stay around, please.